Welcome to TradingLounge and the US tech stocks. Last week we talked about, early last week we talked about a bigger bullish picture in the markets, and I feel like we need to readdress that. So we're going to do that with some stocks and also just talk about it on the Nasdaq here. So this is kind of the original count that we've been working with, and we were working with this also last week as well. And I won't get rid of it just yet, but I just don't see that large pullback in the markets here. I see a much shallower pullback, so it means that we need to sort of recount this. But in the meantime, we're still seeing impulse waves to the upside of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for third, fourth, and fifth, and so on. So we can continue to move higher. Yeah, it's just that this pullback. Obviously, we're going to well, at the 18,000, always call 8 a profit-taking number, so we'll see consolidation and corrective patterns at that point, but more so obviously at the 20,000. So yeah, this big pullback here. So I'm just going to have a look at the weekly chart here for a moment, and there's a couple of different ways we can count this to the upside here. So this is, I've got this as super cycle degree here. So grand super cycle would be wave 1 would be the .com day. So in 2000 up for wave 1 and then a correction back into wave 2 at that point. Now I know that's all debatable and arguable and all of that sort of stuff, but stocks are telling me that we're going higher. So I listen to the stocks. And in this instance here, we can count it this way. There's different ways to count this up here, but the main point is that if we do look, because this would be grand super cycle would be wave 1, and then this is wave 1 of super cycle degree. So it's basically what I'm saying to you here is that the stock market will continue to rise during your lifetime and mine, and life goes on and so on, and it's the way it has been, and it's the way that it will be, you know. So yeah, I mean, we'll just be bullish, and there will be corrections, and that's what we really need to navigate. So this move to the upside would be looking at, if this is wave 1 and 2 here, would be looking for wave 1 and 2 up here. So there's going to be a lot of people that it's, you know, it's difficult, the markets. It's really, you know, the markets are the boss, and we all find it difficult to, you know, all the people that trade the market are free thinkers and individual thinkers and intellectual thinkers and so on. So it's hard to bow down to a boss, but we all kind of work for the man in one way or another. So it's really a game about, you know, against yourself in the markets, and being able to get past your own opinions, which can get you into trouble. So for me to say this is a massive bull market, you know, there's going to be a lot of eyes rolling and all the rest of it. So I get that, but yeah, if a market is going up, then you just need to stay with it, you know. So this is one way to count it. There's the other way. Well, there's actually, I can count it in 3 different ways. So I won't confuse it too much, but same sort of thing here, where we could look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as 1 and 2 here, and then 3 because we've got 5 waves in here, and then this one here. And this would look at this here as 1 and 2, and then coming up here as also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. So 1 and 2 coming back here, and then 3 going up here. So in this case, we just don't get that big pullback that I'm talking about, you know. Anyway, it's all, you know, it's all open for discussion, of course, and you can do that on the in the chat room on our new site. And the other point here too is that when you push through an old high over here, it normally wants to come back and test it, so we'll just need to be a little bit mindful of that as well. But anyway, just starting as we did last week with a bigger bullish picture for the markets. So with Apple here, we know Apple's been through a few sort of rough spots and all the rest of it, but you know, they got new products coming out, same as everybody else, and you know, everybody's in the AI race and so on. And So in this particular instance here, we need to also look at it as a bullish picture to the upside. Just what I'm not quite sure about is that if we look at this movement up here as 1 and 2 here, because it is corrective, this is a corrective pattern. This is not a you know, a bearish pattern coming down here. So I could look at it as wave 1 here, this blue wave 1, and then have a blue wave 2 here, or I could go wave 1 here, wave 2, 3, 4, 5, and have wave 1 up here and then come back at that point. So to me, both are valid. So really our focus is about this particular correction here at this stage. It does make a nice ABC pattern to this point. There can be one more low coming into play, so I'm just going to cut through to the chase on this one here, and I've got this as wave 1. It can be the blue wave 1 as well, but the ABC for the B wave, and then coming down for the C wave here. Now in this move here, we can count 5 waves in here quite clearly, so that's all good. And this sharp move down here, that's fine as, you know, a move here. This one here does count as 5 waves, but the wave 3 is a little bit short in here, so it could mean that I need to stretch this out and leave a wave 4 here, and we can actually get one more move down through to here before we go to the upside. This top to toe here, the 190 is a 61.8%. So if we do see that we get a classic trading levels pattern across this level here, then we'll use that as the setup and we can build in at that point. Because if it is one of these wave 2s here, then it will give us, you know, normally we look for a pattern like this across the level, and I'm talking here about the 200 here, and so we'll get a push up there. When it comes back here, it may not come quite deep back into here. It might be quite shallow with the alternative count like this one here, because the other point here is that when I see a market that has spent some time under here, and the 180 is a really good support. It's the old high over yonder over here as well. Yeah, I lost the plot then, what I was saying, but yeah, so basically what I was sort of thinking is, you know, nothing's in a straight line, of course, but I was thinking that when it does come back, it'll just be something like this, you know, it won't be a deep move back down here, so we'll just keep an eye on that as well. But it might pay for us to get a very small position here and something to build on above the level, because we'll definitely be building in on 2, 10, 20 and 30 at that point. This is where we'll build in. So anyway, we'll just, you know, Apple's been a little bit of a tricky one for me, but we'll just wait and see how this plays out for Apple. And okay, so this is Amazon here, and Amazon's the talk of the town at the moment, so I thought I'd just look at the bigger picture here, and this is a log scale, of course, and you know, this was, you know, I mean, there's markets out there, tech stocks out there that haven't even taken their high out here, you know, in the markets. But obviously Amazon's done a fantastic job, and yeah, so, you know, I mean, a lot of other markets came in much later in this particular cycle, but I was thinking that we can look at this as wave 1 and 2 here, because of the distance it's pulled down, you know. That's the thing with it. So in a nutshell, we've got 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 of cycle degree, and this just makes wave 1 and 2. So that's basically where we would look at the Nasdaq here as 1 and 2 at this point. That's where that's coming from, right? As 1 and 2 here. So anyway, I mean, I'm, you know, just shoot the breeze on it, and yeah, looking for this. So it'll just continue to climb higher as far as I can see, you know. But anyway, we'll just cruise in, and I'm not sure what I've updated on here, on the weekly one here, but yeah, so this is just the weekly one here, looking at this as as 1 and 2 here of super cycle degree with cycle degree corrections, and then we need to look at this to the upside. And you know, this is also where it becomes open for debate. We get a few spiky things in here, and should we include them? Shouldn't we include them? Should we look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 up here, or can we go 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here? Because this is what I say about the wave structures. You can get a nice, as an Elliott person, you kind of sit there and wait for a nice sort of ABC, a 5-wave structure, and then a nice ABC pattern, and that's what you're sitting there waiting for it to come back. And what actually happens is that this becomes 1 and 2 here, and this one here is 1 and 2, and then this is 1 and 2, and then this is 1 and 2, and we just don't get that pullback in here. Do you know? That's what I was saying about the Nasdaq, about it pulling back here. I don't think we're going to get that. I think we're going to get this type of structure. This is corrective here, this structure here, so we're taking out this top. That's not, we're close to it anyway, and I've said it many times, but it's the same as Tesla, even though Tesla's really low down here at the moment. The move down that it's had is corrective, so it's, in one way or another, it's really sort of a buying opportunity. I don't know if he's pushing it down to, get more of a, get some of it back that he had to sell to get Twitter. He's definitely the Twitter on that scene, I have to say. But anyway, he's smarter than I, so I can't say anything. But I was kind of a bit disappointed that he bought Twitter, really. I just thought that, it's kind of a step backwards, I thought getting to Mars and doing other amazing things was more important. But anyway, everybody's doing the best they can, and we all make mistakes, and hey, shit might not even be a mistake. Anyway, enough waffling. So let's cruise in here on a weekly, so I'll just go to the daily. And so so as I just mentioned, we'll need to look at it possibly in a more bullish light, and this way we won't get caught. If I look at this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and I can start to see it moving to the upside quite nicely here. So that way we don't get caught out with this, or you don't get caught out, because basically, as you just got to stay in the trend while, that's the thing, isn't it? It's, we all make mistakes, getting out too early and doing all sorts of things and over trading and these sort of things. But to me, this is all just bullish, when you remember that this is corrective and this top needs to be taken out, and double tops are never the end of the trend. So, it's going to go from 200 to 300, and, it should be at $1,000 this share, I reckon. But we shall see. But yeah, so this is all just moving along. You could just buy it here and leave the stop under here for this. We'll take a closer look at this. Daily, we'll just go to the 1000 tick area here. So picking it up from this wave 2 here, I'll just go back a little bit. So 1 and 2 here, and 1 and 2 here, and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. So we look up here as going from 2 up into 3 here, and 4 here, roughly 5 for 3 and 4 here. We're into group 2 here now at 65, 72 and 80. So we'll spend a bit of time here, but eventually it'll push up to 200. So all you really need to do here is just, keep your stop out of the way. It's not going to come back to that point. I'm just going to remove that because we don't have a trade, it'll just confuse me at that point. So we don't need this one here. I suppose we can put these over here, just out of the way here. But yeah, and then I'll just look at from 1000 ticks, we'll just go to 100 ticks and just take a closer look. Oh, we do have a trade in here. But so, yeah, so from this 1 and 2 here, 1 and 2, and this will be 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third, fourth here. So there's a bit more to go here actually than I thought. But yeah, so anyway, a little bit of a dance around here. Where's wave 5? Don't have wave 5. Let's just plonk that in here. That will be wave 5 of 3 at 180. There will be profit taking at this point at 80, so just be mindful of that. If you're looking for a short-term target, that's the one at this point. Alrighty, so that's Amazon. I'll try to make a bit more of a move. So Facebook here, you know, I mean, when Facebook came on here, you can just see that, you know, it's pulled back, you know, you've got to call it wave 2 because it's pulled back 78.6%, you know, 60, you know, the famous 61.8%, yada, yada, yada. But so it can be nothing else but a wave 2 at this point, and it was sharp and swift and all the rest of it, you know. So we have to look at this as being bullish as well. Now, this would be super cycle 1 and 2 here. This would be next degree smaller cycle 1 and cycle 2 at this point. I could count this differently here as well. I could put wave 1 up here if I wanted to, but I'll just go conservatively. So there's different ways to view all of this, but this is going to $1,000 and it will spend a little bit of time at the 500. This is the bigger picture, of course, the weekly. So with that in mind, we can just drill into from weekly to daily. I can count this wave 1 in here, as I mentioned last week. You could count this. You could count this here 2 ways, because I want to be a little bit careful, because I could also put wave 2 here. I've got this wave 1 here. I could put wave 2 here. It fits okay, and I can get a very sort of scruffy wave 1 out of here, and I'll be quite happy to look at this as 5 waves here as well, be it wave 4 to 5 of 1 and 2 to here, or 1 over to here, 1 to here, and put the 2 over to here, and then also put this one here as well. But most of the markets are kind of in this format here, you know, NVIDIA and so on have got this particular pattern here that we're working with. So, yeah, so anyway, I'm just speaking to myself really about that, but yeah, so that's all looking pretty good at this point. Obviously looking at this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, bit same as NVIDIA, and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and a third wave here. So there's going to be a series of 4s and 5s that will basically stall at the 500, 5 being the second strongest number in the market according to me. Not that that means much, but we should see it play around here, you know, and then eventually just continue higher based on this, you know. So it's pretty nice, really. And they're paying a dividend now, as you probably know. So one day I won't go to 20k, I'll just go straight into 1k here. So just picking it up from this wave 2 area here of 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 5 little waves up for 1 and 2 and looking at 3, 4, 5. So going to be playing out here a little bit. So yeah, yeah, so basically it'll, you know, it's got a bit of a dance here to do really, but a classic trading levels pattern here, if you like, you know, this particular pattern here. It'll either be this pattern or this pattern, where it doesn't come below the level, and the last one here is where it doesn't stop at the level and just goes higher and then drops, but it normally stops within group 1 here, so 510, 520, 530 in this point. But yeah, so one of those ones there, and we can look to put in a long trade at that point there too. But in the meantime, there's momentum to the upside there. We'll just go into 100 and check on that, how we're going for time. So yeah, I'll just stay within this space here. Okay, so 1 and 2 here, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 3, 4 here. So yeah, look, as I mentioned, there'll be, you know, this type of pattern coming into play here, the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, some sort of ABC pattern here, probably doing it too big, but we'll leave it like that at the moment. But that's where it is at the moment, so all of that. So I'll leave that there, and then we come over to NVIDIA, same thing again, super cycle 1 and 2. I'm not sure about this one on this one. I'll go back and check, do some work on that one. But for the meantime, I've just dragged it in with the rest, and this has really been a bit of a blueprint for the other markets. I have changed it a little bit to merge in with the other markets, but in the short term from here to here we'll be looking at $1,000 going up here. There are, you know, it looks quite close at this point. being on log scale and weekly, but the 650 is the medium level here, 650, and then the 800 is a major level as well. So that's where they will play out at that point. And if we go from weekly to daily, we'll be able to pick it up as 1 and 2 here. And then 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 for the third wave. The 650 here, we'll see a bit of activity around that. Yeah, as I've mentioned before, there's a good accumulation process here for this distribution process, but we'll start to see, it's been the beginning of the trend is 1s and 2s, and then the later stages is 4s and 5s. So we'll see that up here, and we'll look for this as wave 1 here as well at this point. I could put the primary degree at cycle degree as well, but I'll just give that some more thought. Doesn't matter in lots of ways, as long as we get the count right. So yeah, from 1 day we'll just go straight to 1,000. Normally we go to 20Ks, but so yeah, so in this case we've got 1 and 2 in here, and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and then we're sort of coming up here into 3, 4, 5 for the third, fourth. I could do this a little bit differently, and I could put third up there. I could do a few things. This, first of all, this here, this is some little 1s and 2s in here and a third here, so we're going to see something like this here to top this off here. And we should see something across here, which will give us a bit of a an entry point for going higher here. Now the thing, I could have this wrong. I could have this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here as well. So I've got 5 up here of 3 and coming back for 4. But the other thing that we just need to watch is that it could just push straight up higher in terms of wave 3 and 4 here. So from 4 we end up going up to 1 here and 2 here, and then going up for 3, 4, 5, not spending that much time at this particular number here. So we'll just see how, we'll check the volume when it gets toppy here, and we'll see where the other markets are as well. And then we come over to Netflix and Tesla. I'm not going to really worry about too much at this point. It will pop when it's ready, this one. I just don't know about this wave 4. I could put it here and it can just pop. If you wanted to go along here, you just need to go above the top there. So this is 5, this is group 2 here, 65, 72 and 80. So a breach of 72, so 573 breach would create the long, and the short can go under here, and the target would be the 600 for that one. Okay, Google, I'm not going to go into the bigger picture because we've been looking at wave 1 here, so we'll keep that there. So we had a nice little 5 waves down here, and then it did this little move here, which kind of looks like 3 waves to me, so probably a little A, B, and C up here. So I haven't counted it up here, I'm not that concerned with it, but it could go way up here as well to the 61.8%, and then have wave C here. And then we move up. Now I could get this wrong, and we could just have this as some sort of ABC pattern in here. It's a little bit small at this stage, so I won't call that in because it might tempt you to go long. And if I'm wrong, then we'll just have to pick it up on the 150 as a classic trading levels pattern. But otherwise, if we get the B wave and C wave down here, then we should be able to get it at the 140. If we can get 1 or 2 positions in above the 140, between 140, 145, then we can start to build on the 150 over here. Okay, so we'll just keep a bit of an eye on that. And Microsoft, yeah, so I thought we'd have a look at a bigger picture of Microsoft as well, because obviously it's you know, quite the quiet achiever in the background, and you know, I can really see that they're pushing buttons now on when you're working with their software. They're sort of herding you in to use their browser and their Copilot, and you know, they're just a little bit sort of annoying. And if the browser becomes default browser, it's very difficult to get rid of the damn thing. Not to say that it's a bad browser or anything like that, but I can, you know, they're trying to really suck everybody into their ecosystem which is the name of the game, I guess. So in this case, this would be, you know, this is a massive bullish picture as far as I can see. Anyway, that's that. So let's just go into the daily chart from the weekly chart here. And so wave 2 here, and we can look at this as wave 1 here. I got it as primary degree. It could be cycle degree. Like I said, some of these things, I mean, obviously they matter. It'd be just be nice to be right all the time, but it's not that simple. So, well, for me anyway. But yeah, so this was a little bit gnarly and spiky in here on this, so it could be counted a bit differently. I could put this into here and look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 up here, and then go a little bit higher. So I just got to be a little bit careful about how I approach this here. And this wasn't easy as well. Do we look at this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 in here? All that sort of thing, or could we use this one here and just go 1 and 2? So it affects the top here, but I was sort of thinking that at the 400 here, it will, you know, consolidate and trade above it and below it and do all those sorts of things. Large numbers attract large orders, and then hopefully would pick it up at that stage, you know. It's kind of getting set up to go. So we could buy the top and get trapped as well. But I don't think the trap, you know, if you're a trend trader, then I just don't think you need to worry too much about being trapped here as such. But let's go in and have a look at what we've got. So we're on a daily chart. So we'll go to this one, and yeah, so it just, you know, I mean, from here is 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 in the third wave, fourth wave, the fifth wave here for the third wave. I don't know if I should take that spike there. I've got it not taking the spike and putting that there and that there, and then looking at this here. This here is in 3 waves so far. It could be a B wave coming, a B wave up here, by the way, and coming down for a C wave. It could do that, or we could get a situation like this here where we get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here, you know, and to put this one in here. Or do we go up a bit further? I just feel like we need to have a little bit more here, but kind of looking for something that I can get my teeth into here, you know. And I know from experience that the best thing to do is to do nothing and wait for the market to come to you rather than get nervous and push buttons. If I'm wrong, I know where I'm wrong, and it will be on top of group 1 here, 1, 2, and 3. So if we end up with a classic trading levels pattern on top of group 1 here, then we have to be long at that point, because it's leaving the 400 at that point. And if it's leaving 400, then it's heading up to 500, but through the levels of 1, 2, 3, 450, 480, and so on. But that's the point, you know. But normally you would see some sort of consolidation here. We've got, you know, if you just want to hold, this is really good support system down here, all of group 2 doing its job. So if you are long or want to go long, you just need to leave your stop out of the way. And of course, the annoying thing, it can come down and spike all these out here to pick up orders, you know, and then go off. But we're aware of that type of behavior, so we'll be, you know, we can point that out in terms of where the stop, well, just did where the stop needs to go at that point. So I just want to wait to see how this unfolds here first. Then we come over to Tesla, and as I mentioned before, I don't really want to get involved in all of this here. When the 200 becomes support, then we'll get on that bus and we'll go for a ride. All I can say is that this move down here is a corrective pattern, so at some point in the future this top is going to be taken out. When's that going to occur is a little bit tricky, because it's a pretty sort of not a very nice sort of structure at this point, because it's like we got 3 waves up here. I know that I could squeeze this into here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and look at it as wave 1 here, you know. I could also look at it as a triangle here as well, you know, an A, B, C, D, and E over here, which would also be fine as well. You know, it might take Elon, you know, a bit more time to talk down his company and, you know, spit the dummy and get his way and, you know, get control of the company again or whatever, and which is a good thing and stuff. And but yeah, I don't think there's anything really holding this back in any way whatsoever. So because this is corrective, it's not an impulse wave to the downside. It's just like, how long is it going to be sort of floating across this level here for, you know? Obviously, in our terms, that's the buying opportunity at that top there. That would sort everything out, but obviously we want to be much further down here, so we'll just chill and pick up the pieces when we need to. Alrighty, thanks for tuning in, and enjoy the week ahead. Cheers.